Well, hello. Um, I reinstalled the operating system on my Mac, and I'm now on Yosemite, upgraded from Mavericks. So that necessitated reinstalling and resetting up everything. But a whole bunch of the old crud that I had is now gone. Everything's nice and clean. So, clean off my desktop really quick and then show you. Okay, so what I've been working on is a combination of the nPipes overview and getting nPipes ready to use in Trepo. So the nPipes overview, I'm thinking I haven't done any of the images yet. I'm just kind of doing layouts, but I'm thinking we probably want a vgraph refresher where you go through. Here's the standard property graph, and here's what boundary nodes are, just to kind of put those in your mind, and then talk about the specific needs for nPipes. You know, we need a general purpose query solution. We need something that's understandable and expressive. We also need something that handles the cross repository and vgraph specific things, and we need something that's scalable. Again, not quite sure. Just kind of going over it, and then we'll kind of introduce you to traversals. We'll say, okay, we visit nodes and edges, we collect information, we branch, we backtrack, we loop potentially, and then we'll say, okay, so in traversal there's steps, so you can move and you branch and you store, and then you mark and backtrack, and you have conditionals and all those steps, and then you have what's called a path. So you have a basic path, and then it's copied on branch or moved on backtrack, and then a traversal payload that you can essentially just an object map that you stick stuff in, all the stuff you've seen before, and then going into the actual traversal spec and saying here's the different components and here's the JSON representation. So I'm wondering if the traversal spec should go, why are all these, okay, go kind of right here, but I don't know. I'll kind of think about it. And then I want to do some examples. So just a basic example of, node 1, node 2, node 3. And then a branching node where you go to node 1, node 2, and then you go to 3 and 4. You see what that looks like. Backtracking where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go back to 2 or something like that. A cross repository example where you go from node 1, node 2, and then you go to node 3, which is a boundary node, and this node 3 in this other repository, and then you go node 4 and continue on. And then we kind of combine this together to say, okay, here's what you can do. You can start in this, you can go over here, you can branch out, you can backtrack, and everything just works. And then probably talk about query, which is just a collection of traversals. Branching creates additional traversals, that type of thing. And then maybe a list of all the steps. So that's what I'm thinking so far. Not sure. I got a lot of images to create. Always the case, always the case. So, some other things I've been working on is, where is traversal? Oh, right here. So, serialization and deserialization, I can't speak. Deserialization needs to occur in REST endpoints to be able to send and receive queries, which is essentially a list of traversals. So everything in here is fine to serialize using gson except for step, because step is an interface. So we have problems there. So what we do each step doesn't look like regular steps. A step has a name and a no, this one. A step has let me show you. So here's a traversal. So we have a path, payload, steps. Each step has a name and a set of parameters. So out step has this array of labels. Store step has a payload and a property, and then vertex step has this. Probably need to rename it a node step or something, but who cares? So this is kind of what I've been working on as well, is figuring out a really good way to serialize and deserialize. So I created two type adapters, a step serializer and a step deserializer. Let's see, where's the step serializer? That one's really easy. It just says serialize whatever step.to.json returns, and then each step, so look at the add a step, that's an easy one. Each step essentially creates a parameters object, puts all of its information in there, and returns a serializable step that just has the name and the parameters. And the serializable step, you can see I haven't finished it yet. Just name and parameters, and that way we can serialize and deserialize based on that. We'll serialize. I don't know if we want to deserialize based on this. And that's kind of what I've been working on, is the deserializer. I kind of messed with it. Well, I can do it straight in here, switch on name. Or what's probably going to be better is use use a serializable step. Return that. And then we can take a serializable step and give it an execute function. Make serializable step an actual step. Give it an execute function, and then what it does is it maps, or maybe we don't. It's one of those where I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So I need to go figure out serialization, deserialization. And then I've also worked on testing a few more of those traversals we talked about last time. And so far everything's working well. So I have high hopes that tomorrow I should be able to finish up enough and potentially get the REST endpoint in there and actually go stick it into Trepo and start working on the family query, which will be really nice. I'll go implement that. Let's see, is there any other? I don't think there's any other news other than I gotta go reset my backgrounds for my desktop. Gotta go find some good new wallpapers, and that's about it. So I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Have some fun.